While clutter is the bane of every home-owning neat freak on the planet, it's nearly impossible not to accumulate at least a little junk. Old items are left abandoned in garages and attics, sitting for years collecting dust until finally someone takes that dreaded but long overdue trip to the dump. Sometimes, though, all that junk people stash out of sight has more than meets the eye. As one man was rummaging through his grandparents' overcrowded ceramics room, he discovered something in an old, unassuming closet that left even his grandmother in awe. Hello, wonderful people. I'm Jamie Buck from WonderBot, and here is... Man cleaning out Grandma's garage stumbles upon a shocking sight. Before we begin, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos. One afternoon, an Imgur user known as 2Direl was sorting through the aforementioned ceramics room, which was pretty much turned into a junk depot. But there was one item there that caught his eye. In the corner behind stacks of old papers and blank canvases was a tall brown cabinet that looked as though it hadn't been opened in years. 2Direl felt the urge to start investigating. The shelving of the closet was bare, but 2Direl realized at the base was a false bottom that popped out rather easily. Gravel felt the rectangular area underneath, but once 2Direl cleared it away, he gasped. Staring at him from the closet space was a dial to a safe. The whole time, his grandmother had this piece of furniture and had no idea there was a locked box resting at the bottom. 2Direl pried it out. The safe had seen much better days. It was covered in rust and the edges were banged up, but that made it super easy to pry open with some tools. No master safecracker was necessary. Wearing gloves to ensure he didn't cut himself or get tinnitus, 2Direl grabbed a hammer and metal wedging tool and carefully removed the safe's lid. But he was not ready for what was inside. Within the rusted container was a mystery object draped in a black cloth, a plastic container, pictures, and a note that looked like it had been torn from a book. A close look at the black cloth answered one mystery. After 2Direl pulled it back, he noticed something was wrapped up inside it. He unraveled that tattered piece of linen and came upon a leather pouch that answered who the safe belonged to. Everything in the safe was very delicate from years of exposure, so every move 2Direl made was with the utmost care. He slowly opened the pouch strings and found his grandfather's pocket watch issued by the British Army. But that was only the beginning of 2Direl's safe adventure. After admiring the quality of the watch, he came across a massive collection of old stamps. Some were from countries that didn't even exist anymore. Next, he turned to the note which read, "Abandon all regret, ye who enter here." It was apparently written by his grandfather who had passed away several years earlier. And it was a play on the famous Dante's Inferno quote, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here." There was more. Additionally, he found his artifact that looked like it came straight out of the movie Aladdin. Unfortunately, there was no genie in this old relic. Someone online suggested that this was likely an incense burner, and he was amazed by the photos he found. The first he pulled from the safe was actually one of 2Direl's ancestors. Believe it or not, this was his great-great-great-grandmother. Talk about a blast from a totally different past. The dapper gentleman, rocking a crisp suit and holding a pipe in his photo, was 2Direl's great-grandfather. One internet user left the appropriate comment, "Your great-grandfather is so stylish it hurts." Next, it was time to explore the plastic case. 2Direl could tell by the way the case sounded when it shook that there were several items inside. It didn't take long to pop it open and find some unusual coins as well as a key. The coins weren't ordinary pocket change either. 2Direl never saw anything like them before, and luckily, when he posted this photo online, coin experts chimed in. Apparently, there was a 1921 $50 and some Pakistani coins worth keeping. But the coins weren't even the best part. There were actually two pieces of memorabilia from World War I. One was a medal given to Commonwealth troops who served in the theater, but the other was a mystery. The final item 2Direl pulled was a random key. Even 2Direl's grandmother had no clue what it belonged to. 2Direl was left with a riddle to hopefully one day solve. He started thinking of all the objects around the house that were locked. He tried not to get his hopes up, but that was a tall task. He knew the incredible discoveries people were making all around the world. Maybe one could point him toward the key source. A Reddit user known as Donut was a passionate gaming and technology fan. When he moved into a cramped one-bedroom apartment, his parents offered him a seemingly innocuous gift. They gave him an antique wooden chest once owned by his late great-uncle. He might have wondered, if only for a moment, where the thing would fit in his apartment. Eventually, he took the chest home, opened it up, and found nothing. Well, at first he found nothing. Only a little bit of poking and prodding revealed the chest had a false bottom, and therefore a secret compartment full of his great-uncle's prized and personal treasures. Old and worn cases of arrows sat atop the tightly packed chest, just as a small hint of what else the late great-uncle valued enough to hide within a secret compartment of a locked box. Arrows are cool, right? Donut wrote beside the photo. He kept digging. As he dug deeper, he found more and more equipment revealing his great-uncle's enthusiasm for the precision sport of archery. The equipment he found puzzled him, and much of it excited him. There were some insanely rare gadgets inside. As he pulled everything out of the chest, Donut felt a connection to the relative he hardly knew. He wanted to better understand him, so he turned to the internet to learn just how cool his great-uncle was. He posted a picture of each item in the chest to an archery forum where the enthusiastic community taught him the history and mechanics of the Olympic sport his great-uncle loved so much. The first item he posted? Blunted arrows. What was their story? Blunted arrows, an archery enthusiast with the username MS Antler, wrote, are typically for small game hunting. Imagine one of those razor-sharp broadheads through a rabbit or squirrel. Overkill. Blunt force trauma is plenty. That information made it clear that his great-uncle enjoyed bow and arrow hunting, an impressive skill no doubt. The next piece he posted from the inherited old chest, a metal thing, below, revealed another bit about his relative's archery habits. The metal thing is a bow stand for the competition line, wrote user Maldivining. The spike goes in the ground next to you, the bow goes across the two hooks, and the arrows stand up, point down, in the square. It may be broken. Another user elaborated that competitors would keep their arrows in the bow stand so they didn't have to reach far for a new arrow. The hooks on the side held the bows similarly to the modern bow stand below. So, was his great-uncle an avid competitor? Another item in the chest suggested he was, a green crate packed with beautifully organized arrows and felt patches. You can see it's a good set of arrows, and the leather thing in the far left is the arm guard. User Maldivining wrote, the other stuff? He's got his spare arrow parts in there, the user continued, and all his competition patches below, what looks like a pair of disposable targets and some generic tools. But Donut wondered, what kind of competitor was his late great-uncle? Donut shared another picture he simply labeled pins and awards. To him, the cool little trinkets merely confirmed his great-uncle was indeed an active competitor, but the archery fanatics showed him these were so much more than just pins and awards. I love how the most important thing in this chest was so overlooked, one Imgur user said, in response to the pins. Look at those pins and medals. 2 are Olympic. Actually, 3 of the pins bore that famous 5-ring symbol. Still, Donut had doubts. His great-uncle was not an Olympian. We'd probably know a little better, he wrote. If a not-so-distant relative was an Olympian, right? Yeah, lining up the Olympic archers would have come up at a few family Christmas parties, but another Redditor pointed out another pin that suggested otherwise. One of the pins there is a silver fern. User Bezuchfach wrote, he must have got that from a member of the New Zealand Olympic team. If not an Olympic competitor, perhaps he went as a member of a wider team for his country. Or, he suggested, or just a spectator who knew people in high places, the Redditor continued. But he wouldn't have had a pin to exchange in that case. Generally, people swap their pins from one country to another, rather than just giving them up. Could this mean that the great-uncle earned some pins on his own with serious William Tell-like talent after all? Donut pulled more and more from the inherited old chest. Beautiful recurved bows and brilliant leather quivers dropped the jaws of avid archers online. Truly, the chest held treasures from the archery world. Most importantly, the equipment hidden within the old false bottom chest revealed that much about the passion of Inin Donut's late family member, and that was the best treasure of all, a true bullseye.